Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Nathan and today I'm going to be doing my early top 10 for the 2023 NHL draft. A year ahead of things, the 2023 draft is looking absolutely spectacular and the top 10 and top 5 are absolutely stacked. But what teams could be in the mix for the top picks in the draft and who are the best prospects in the 2023 NHL entry draft? Watch till the end for the complete rankings and the complete prospect talk. And make sure you hit that subscribe button if you are new. 50% of you guys aren't subscribed, so if you like prospect talk, this channel is the place to be. Now for this top 10, we're going to go through the prospect rankings and my top 10 players for the 2023 draft. I'm going to be having teams as well, selecting them, but this is less of a mock draft and more of a prospect rankings. For the teams, it's more so just the teams I see being in the bottom 10 next year and the teams that could possibly be around this range. But let's start off with the 10th best prospect in the 2022 NHL draft, and let's go on to finish forward Kasper Halttunen. Now, Kasper Halttunen has been a big riser for me personally. He's a really young birth date and as a June 07 birth date, and at 6'3", he's such an interesting combination of size, of confidence, of skill, and I think this is a guy that could honestly maybe even push for the top 5 by the end of the year. But again, a super young birth date, 6'3", uses that size in a lot of great ways, and this last year in the U20 Liga, in 41 games, got 24 goals, 14 assists for 38 points, and in the U18 World Juniors for the Finns, got 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points in 6 games played. I love that goal scoring touch, but I love the puck handling. The confidence on his stick is fantastic, and when you combine the traits that he has at 6'3", this is a guy that can be physical, can be great along the boards from what I've seen, and I just love this player the more and more I watch. Although I still don't have a big sample size for him, I feel like Halttunen is a guy that by the end of the season could be in my top 6, and again, pushing for that top 5 with the raw skills and that high upside that he has. And I think this next season will hopefully see him in a bigger role in the league as well. Next up, going to the 9th overall pick and a 9th best prospect in the 2022 draft. This is where I see the Buffalo Sabres selecting, and I'm going to go with Nate Danielson. Now, to me, Nate Danielson is in a weird position. He's a player that we could see maybe outside the top 10, but I'm really interested to see how he takes these next steps in this next year. Another player that's really young, and a lot of younger players in this draft class, a September 27th birth date, still 17, of course, at 6'1", playing this last year with the Brandon Wheat Kings in 53 games, got 23 goals, 34 assists for 57 points. Now, he was only 4th in team scoring. Brandon's gotten pretty solid scoring group, and in the playoffs, only 3 points in 6 games played. But at the same time, I do like Danielson, not just for the points that he provides, but also the 200-foot game that he likes to provide as well. Even though it is a little bit inconsistent, he is usually a great positional defensive player, and he's a guy that you combine with that young birth date already, being at such a being so mature in his game and having that well-rounded offensive level. To me, Danielson could be a very solid and really just solidified top 10 pick in this draft, and around the 9 to 10 range, I think is pretty perfect for him. But next up, going to the 8th best prospect in the 2023 draft. Next up, we're going to go on to the selection that, in my opinion, the Anaheim Ducks will end up having. And at this 8th spot, I'm going to go with USA forward Charlie Stramel. Now, to me, Charlie Stramel is going to be a really interesting player to watch. He missed a lot of this last year with off-season injury and came into the second half, and in my opinion, was pretty great. A University of Wisconsin commit, and another young player, October 15th birth date, and another guy that is really young for this draft class, but at 6'3", 216 pounds. This last year in the USDP, 26 games played, 10 goals, 12 assists, 22 points. Then the USHL, almost a point per game, and in the U18 World Juniors for the US, got 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points in 6 games played. And again, this next year will be with the University of Wisconsin, and I'm really interested to see how he adapts to the NCAA game, because this is a player that, in my opinion, even though he missed a lot of last season, was still coming in pretty strong. But you can just tell how excited he is to play the game. There's so much enthusiasm. There's so much excitement when it comes to his play, with that solid skating and really great athleticism along the ice. He's a guy that at 6'3" also uses his size in some ways, though I do think that will be a main point of contention, whether he's able to use it more in the neutral zone, whether he's able to use it more defensively, but I think his skating for that size is really solid, and this is a guy that can push pace well and be able to get into the right positions well as on top of that. And you combine that going to the University of Wisconsin, a lot of talent there, and I think Charlie will be a big part of that offense. Now moving on to the 7th best prospect in the 2023 draft, let's go on to one of the more interesting projects in the draft in Leo Carlsson. Now, I also want to again put the warning out there that with Nate Danielson, I thought he was a super young prospect. No, he's one of the oldest in this class. I forgot that it's not 2004s that are the super young ones. It's the 2005s. So many prospects to keep up with now, especially since they're now younger than me, which is crazy to think about. But with Leo Carlsson, to me, he just provides such an interesting game. At 6'3", 185 pounds, he's right in the middle of the December birth dates. And this last year had a really interesting season. He played 35 SHL games, getting 3 goals, 6 assists for 9 points. That's pretty good production for a draft year eligible, but of course when it comes to Leo Carlsson, he's eligible for this NHL draft and will likely be still even more full-time in the SHL this next year, but also in the U18 World Juniors for Sweden, got 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points in 2 games played. But this is a guy that I think uses his size in such great ways. In offense, in the neutral zone, in the defensive zone, he uses it in so many key areas, and you combine that with a really good skating ceiling in my opinion, and this is a guy that although he might not be the most talented player of the draft, with that size and speed combination, I think he can just bring so much to the game in all 3 zones, and I think his playmaking can be really refined at the next level too. I like Leo Carlsson quite a bit, and you combine the ceiling that he might have, and to me, he could be a elite and maybe even top 5 player of this draft if it all pans out. Next up, moving on to number 6, and moving on to the spot where the Winnipeg Jets will select. I know I'm not that high on them, but they haven't really improved that much. Let's go on to the 6th best prospect in the draft, and in my opinion, this will be where Brandon Yager ends up slotting in. With the Moose Jaw Warriors, 17 years old, 6 foot, 161 pounds. He's an interesting one. This last year with Moose Jaw, in 63 games, got 34 goals, 25 assists, 59 points, and in the playoffs, 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points in 10 games played. For me personally, when it comes to Yager, he's one of the more smart and collected goal scorers of this draft. Knows where to be, and his positional game is exceedingly strong in the offensive zone, but loves to crash in that, loves to get in dirty areas, and loves to put goals home, and that's really the name of the game. Even though his playmaking is really solid, I think he's going to be this great top 6 scorer that provides a great release and will be great alongside a solid playmaking centerman, but also brings good intensity and a solid work ethic on top of that, and I think that's a big reason why he will be one of the best, and one of the best players and one of the best goal scorers of this draft class. Now let's move on to the 5th spot and where the San Jose Sharks will be selecting, and next up for the 5th best prospect in the 2023 draft, I got from the Winnipeg Ice, Zach Benson. Now, to be fair, when you look at the stats, Benson is on a great Winnipeg Ice offensive team, but is also pretty young, a May 12th birthday, 5'10", 150 pounds, definitely will need to add some big bulk before he's going to the next level, and it's also pretty funny, the picture they have here is from 2019, he looks like an absolute child, but grown a lot since then. This last year with Winnipeg, in 58 games, has 25 goals, 38 assists for 63 points, and in the playoffs, it was one of the things where for Benson, and the more this season went on, the more impressed I was, of course, watching guys like Matthew Savoy and Connor Geekie this last year of Winnipeg. You could tell Zach Benson was such a big part of that offense, and in the playoffs, in 15 games, got 9 goals, 14 assists for 23 points. But to me, when it comes to Benson, he's super elusive, he's super creative and shifty with his playmaking, and with his offensive game, there's a high passing ceiling in my opinion, and a shot ain't bad either. But I do think he will need to bulk up before he goes to the pros, but again, he's 17 years old and one of the younger players of this draft, so you can obviously forgive that just a bit. But now let's go on to the 4th best prospect of the 2023 NHL draft and go on to my favorite prospect of the 2023 draft. Next up, this will be the spot where the Kraken select, and I see them getting Dalibor Dvorsky, another big Slovak and another high-ranked Slovak, and Dvorsky is my favorite prospect of this draft for a lot of different reasons. Again, another younger player, June 15th birthday for 2005, not 2004 grab, but at 6'1", 190 pounds, this is a player that is so calm, so collected, and always makes the right play, but you combine that with some silky smooth skill, and to me, Dvorsky has a really high ceiling as a great next level thinker of the game, especially at the center position. I think he could be one of the best centers and most refined and matured players by the time next season is all done. Now, when it comes to this last season, he played all over the place in the Junior 20 National, 33 games played, 20 goals, 20 assists, 40 points, playing the Allsvenskan as well, which I think is very important, getting some really good competition there in 17 games, 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. But in the U18, World Juniors D1A got 11 points in 5 games played. But you could look back at like at 2021, he played in the main Slovakia league in 20 games, got 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. Of course, the same league that Simon Nemec was playing in, and as a forward, got pretty great production for a player that was such a young age like him. And to me, Dvorsky, we could see in the Junior 20, we could see on the Allsvenskan, and although we might not see him in the SHL for all too long this next year, he's a guy that will provide great compact skill and will make the smart decision every single time, and I just love watching that brain think the game, and I think at the next level, he's going to be an amazing and consistent NHL player. Next up, moving on to the third best prospect of the 2023 NHL draft, and this is where the Montreal Canadiens will be selecting, and I think they're going to go for big Canadian centerman Adam Fantilli. Now again, not a mock draft, just prospect rankings, but I feel like Fantilli with the Habs would be a pretty interesting fit. But one of the older players of this draft from an October birth date, still 17 years old, but at 6'3", 192 pounds. He's already one of the more mature and refined NHL or prospects in this draft, but I think he used that in his advantage offensively in so many ways. This last year, the Chicago Steel in 54 games got 37 goals, 37 assists for 74 points. And you look in the past 3 years with in the United States High School League, he got 18 goals, 18 assists. In the USHL in 2021, 18 goals, 18 assists. And then this last year in 2022, 37 goals, 37 assists. Super consistent with that dual threat offense that he provides. Besides in the U18 World Juniors, where he got 5 assists, 1 goal, 6 points in 4 games played for the Canadiens, and wearing an A as well. And you combine on top of that, he's going to the University of Michigan, which has proved to just be an absolute just mammoth of a school for development. And to me, Adam Fantilli is one of the biggest ceilings of this draft, with that size, with that skill, and that high upside play and pace that he has. And to me, Fantilli, I mean, this is a player that I don't think is too far behind from the top 2 of Bedard and Michkov. And I think by the end of things, if Fantilli really explodes in the NCAA, there might be some concerns, there might be some questions over whether Fantilli goes second overall, and to me, those questions are worth asking. But now moving on to the second overall pick and the second best prospect of this draft, let's move on to where the Chicago Blackhawks will be picking, and they'll end up with an amazing talent falling right to their lap in Matvei Michkov. Now, to me, when it comes to Michkov, the biggest concern, of course, is the Russian factor and him likely staying for around 2025, 2026. That is a big factor, and that is a problem. But I think for a team like Chicago, who doesn't really need too much right now, they're looking for the long term. Michkov is an absolutely banging pick at second overall. Of course, at age 17, 5'10", 159 pounds, he is the best goal scorer of this draft, bar none. And you look at his pedigree. Just this last year in the KHL, it got 5 points in 13 games played, which is monstrous for a player that was 16 during some of this season as well. And this last year in the MHL with SKA, in 22 games, got 22 goals, 16 assists for 38 points. And as well with the different SKA team, in 6 games played, 8 goals, 5 assists, 13 points. And the playoffs, 13 goals in 17 games played. This is one of the best goal scorers, and you combine as well in the U18 World Juniors last year when he was 16 years old, 16 points, 12 goals in 7 games played. Michkov is one of the best prospects in this draft. He is the best goal scorer, and you combine that with the creativity he has, the way he thinks the game, how much pace he has to his offensive ceiling and to that shot. And to me, Michkov just brings so many amazing traits already, and I think this is a player that if you shelter him, could even play in the NHL today. But that type of talent cannot be missed, and at second overall, it's an excellent choice to make. But moving on to the first overall pick and the best prospect in the draft, where the Arizona Coyotes will end up selecting, they will go on to the Regina Pats and select Connor Bedard. Of course, with Connor Bedard, he's just proved so much over these last couple of years, and also as a July birth date, is really, really young for this class, and you consider what he's already done. It's super impressive. To me, at 5'9", 181 pounds, I don't really have much concern over his physical play. I think there's been a lot of upgrades in that situation, and you combine what he's done recently. I mean, in 2022, 62 games, 51 goals, 49 assists, 100 points, and the U18 World Juniors for the Canadiens had a great goal-scoring edge, 6 goals, 1 assist, 7 points in 4 games played, as well as just how good he was in the U20s. I don't even know if I could find it here, but he's a player that has had so much success, so so much quality in his play and just brings so much on the ice. I think when it comes to his brain, he's one of the smartest thinkers of this draft, and also positionally is always in great positions to push play, to get defenders off their toes, and he's a guy that you combine some really good skating, some amazing game-breaking skill, and this is a guy that is worthy of a first overall pick and will likely be one of the best first overall picks we see this entire decade. But that will be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the 2023 rankings, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Comment down below, what are your thoughts on my top 10 rankings? What do you agree, what do you disagree with, and which teams you see being in the bottom 10 next year? Which prospects you see being in the top 10 as well? Let me know your thoughts down below. Of course, share this video with all your friends. Get it to all the hockey and draft fans you guys know online. Click this card for all my 2023 draft content, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.